If you're thinking about going to tech sales, here's what most recruiters won't tell you. First thing to know about tech sales is it really rewards people who are extremely entrepreneurial and self-motivated. If that's you and has always described you, you're someone who's motivated by making money, trying to start side hustles. You sold newspaper as a kid, you sold candy when you're in elementary school. Those types of people always thrive in tech sales because you're the type of person who's entrepreneurial. You like having your own book of business and making it happen. If you're the type of person who just wants to have a six-figure job handed to you, one where you can just kind of clock in, clock out, and then just be done with the day, tech sales definitely isn't for you. I would honestly advise getting into marketing, data, or some other kind of more cushy style job where you can kind of it's still a hard job, but you can clock in, clock out. Because I think something that no one ever really tells you when you're getting into it is that tech sales can be a grind, and also it can be ruthless, like a relentless industry where you need to be working all hours of the day to make it happen. On the other side of things is once you really dial in your process and you have a good system that's going well for you, you can get a lot of your work done in a very short amount of hours. So it can really just depend on where you are to the quota, where you are in the month or the quarter, and your current situation and things. But definitely, if you're someone who's allergic to working really hard, afraid to talk to people and get out of your comfort zone, and someone who is bothered by stress, I would definitely turn you away from taking this career path, just because it's going to be like torture if that's like the type of person you are. A lot of people that I know who are in tech sales and enjoy it, they enjoy a lot of that stuff. They enjoy the pressure of having to rise to the occasion. They enjoy the pressure of having to get into high stakes situations where they have to make it happen, kind of similar to sports. And they enjoy, being in those kind of challenging situations where they have to solve other people's problems and they have to bring their own motivation into every day to really just make it happen, and do the work that's required every day. Next thing that I'll talk about with tech sales, and something that people never tell you about, is in this industry, if you can learn how to send really good cold emails prior to getting into this industry, or even as you're interviewing for positions, it will really, really set you apart from the pack. I think obviously learning how to cold call is a valuable skill. And when you're interviewing in SDR roles, and actually as an SDR, you're gonna get a lot better at cold calling. But something that you can learn prior to being in sales is definitely cold emailing, because there's so many videos on YouTube, so many free resources, or paid resources where you can learn how to send really effective cold emails. And it's really not rocket science. I would say the biggest thing is less is more. Sending much more concise, brief emails that are super to the point will really help you. And that's something that really happened to me. I got super into cold email from starting a cold email lead generation agency prior to getting into sales. And that was something that definitely gave me a leg up as an SDR, just being able to set meetings really effectively. Another thing to really know about tech sales is there is extreme financial upside that is possible, right? There are people making 150, 180, 200, 250, 300 and more, right? But they're not in the majority either, right? In order to get to that level of compensation, ideally you want to be working on closing bigger deals and have really already have paid your dues, meaning you've already been in this industry for 3 to 5 years. You've done well, you've really applied yourself, and you've moved up the ladder or moved into higher ranking positions in new companies where you're provided more opportunities to do really well, where the stakes are higher. When you're first starting out, you're not going to be able to start out and just go straight into being an enterprise account executive where you could potentially make $1 million a year. Really much more the potential is in the first year as an SDR, you're going to be making anywhere from $65K to $80,000 per year, usually 70 to 75 for a lot of companies in the US. In the first year, that's your OTE. And then in the second year, usually you're going to be making somewhere between 110 to 130, right? And then after that, your pay can keep rising where you're getting to 150, 180, and so on. But yeah, that's really what you can expect. But, compared to a lot of jobs, that's a lot of money without having to go to a lot of years of school, right? It's not like becoming a doctor, or even going into computer science where you have to get really good at this skill over a long period of time, or clock in all these hours in medical school. You could come straight out of college or even straight out of high school and get into this career where you're already earning, $100,000 plus. So it's definitely an upside, but also too, don't be deceived. It's only the minority of people making extreme amounts of money. For a lot of people in tech sales, they're making 100 to 200K, right? Which can be a lot of money, or, if you were expecting something crazy, maybe less money, yeah. And then the final thing is don't get into tech sales unless you're really willing to hustle. And I even mean that in terms of getting a job, right? Getting a job in today's market can be super competitive. And what it takes to get a job, you have to make yourself stand out more and more, and really being able to go the extra mile in terms of how you're crafting a resume, how you're making your LinkedIn, how you're booking interviews, how you're preparing for interviews, and how you're doing in interviews. And I talk a lot about that in my program, Let's Get You Offers, which is a one-on-one, performance-based only, which is free until you get it, land, and get a job. And I work with people one-on-one all the time right now to basically help them get into tech sales faster. And it's usually averaging 1 to up to 2 months is like the average time right now. 1.5 months to 2 months usually, right? But there's a lot of things you have to do to really apply yourself to both get your foot in the door. And it's going to be the same thing once you're in the job, doing all that stuff super well. Once you get into one of these roles, you have to keep doing all this stuff super well, and do it maybe even at a higher level of intensity, because the stakes are higher. You have deals to close. You have a quota now. So those are just kind of my thoughts off the top, in terms of what it takes to get into tech sales and stuff that not everyone knows. Yeah, if you want to learn more about my stuff and my offering, go to letsgetyouoffers.com. Other than that, stay tuned for the next one.